Hi, and welcome to another book review. Today we're going to be talking about Jim Rohn's book, The Five Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle. And for those of you who don't know who Jim Rohn is, Jim Rohn was a personal development guy. He did a lot of trainings and that. And Tony Robbins always tells the story of the first personal development training he went to was one of Jim Rohn's trainings in Los Angeles. And that's how Tony Robbins sort of started off his whole career. He went to a few seminars that Jim was teaching, and he then went to work for Jim Rohn for a number of years and was one of the sales guys to sell the Jim Rohn seminars. I actually met Jim in person. This was years ago when I was working for Herbalife International, selling weight loss products. I met Jim in person, and he was teaching a number of workshops, and it was great to hear directly from him. I then went out and bought all his tapes at the time, and all his books, and I've implemented his philosophy into my life. And what I like about Jim is he explains things in a very, very simple way. He doesn't use this complicated language that you get when you go to some of these NLP trainings where they're talking about all these meta programs and this and that, and sometimes it can go over your head if you're not academically oriented. When Jim Rohn speaks, he speaks in a very simple English that everybody can understand. And in the five major pieces to the life puzzle, he talks about philosophy, he talks about attitude, activity, results, and lifestyle. And these are the 5 points. One of the famous phrases that Jim's famous for is, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you need to get better. And that's just one of the many phrases that Jim came up with, that really, if you think about it, if you think about those words, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you need to get better. There's none of this blaming everybody else and the government and Donald Trump for things that are going wrong in your life. You have to really change yourself and improve yourself. And that's the big thing that Jim was all about. He's talking about setting the sail. He's talking about, understanding the weather and setting the sail, which means understand the marketplace, get ready, set yourself in a way to be able to go to market. And that he's talking about planning, about goals. He talks about your attitude, your basic philosophy. You've got to get your basic philosophy right. Your basic philosophy is all about, being proactive. Get your attitude, being in a positive attitude that you're there to solve problems, not to create problems. Activity, you need to actually go out there and do something. And then he talks about, the results. And sometimes we may get bad results. And so we need to reevaluate what we did, because obviously it requires, if we get the bad results, there's something that we did that wasn't quite right. So we need to go back and analyze what we did and try and maybe look for a mentor, for some help to coach us to, refine things in order to get the good results. And so he talks about the importance of building a team in that. And then he talks about lifestyle. We've got to enjoy life. We can't be working 24/7. We've also got to enjoy life. That's really important to have that balance. So I find that this is a really good book to read every few years. Or even just to pick it up and read a chapter or a few pages. It's one of those books, but it's also one of those books that you can read over and over again. And I find it really useful. And I really like this edition. It's nice hardback and that. So if you want to get a copy of the 5 major pieces to the life puzzle, just click on the link below. If you've read one of Jim's books, or you've attended one of his seminars, or you've never heard of him, you can go on YouTube. There's lots of his lectures on YouTube now. A great guy. And even though, these recordings were done a few years ago, they're still very, very much applicable in today's world of AI and technology and social media, something that Jim Rohn didn't have back in his day. So that's all from me on this review, on this book review. And remember to subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube. Otherwise on LinkedIn, give us a thumbs up, comment below. Let's get the conversation going, and I'll see you in the next one.